quotes about the recent passage of health care Deform legislation, taking us one step closer to Canadian universal health care. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Thomas Jefferson. About the healthcare reform legislation, President Barack Obama said, "This is what change looks like." Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli said, "We believe the federal law is unconstitutional as it is based on the Commerce Clause. Simply put, not buying insurance is not engaging in commerce. If you are not engaged in commerce, the federal government cannot regulate this inaction. Just being alive is not interstate commerce. If it were, Congress could regulate every aspect of our lives." U.S. Representative Eric Cantor said, "It's the latest part of an agenda that is being forced upon the American people that attempts to seize more control over the economy and our lives." The Objective Standard writes, "The reason Democrats were able to pass this bill is that Republicans, lacking the courage to challenge the morality of self-sacrifice, were unable to defend capitalism, the legalization of self-interest, as moral. The blame for this law lies not with Democrats, who can only be expected to commit such atrocities, but with Republicans, who were too cowardly to question their parents, preachers, and professors." About the history of healthcare-related legislation, Doug Reich wrote, "Each time, broad sweeping efforts were rejected, yet incremental steps were taken. This is because the moral premises justifying the legislation remained unchallenged. In fact, as each broad effort failed, it actually strengthened the cynical notion that this legislation was the right thing to do, but that the fat cats or some other scapegoat stood in the way of social justice. This time, the left won the battle, but those who advocate individual rights in capitalism may have begun to win the war. Only morality can ignite this scale of angst, i.e., a sense that this bill and this regime is evil. If I am right, this event could be the beginning of the end for the left, not only politically, but as a moral ideal, and that would mean for good." Now for a series of quick quotes. "I watched my country slide into slavery tonight." WSB. "This is a watershed year in America's history, and many people are drowning in that water or falling into its sinkhole, but I'm certain there are enough other Americans out there who will not submit to the Obama-Pelosi-Reed jihad on America. I've been doing my best for years. Guess my work isn't finished yet. Ed C." It is Obama, Pelosi, Reed, and every congressman who voted yes who have broken with the country's political institutions. Mass civil disobedience is the proper response to such treason. Canadians used to cross the border to get the care they had to wait years for. Where will Americans go? Michael C. "For those who knew better and did nothing to kill the bill, this is for you. Look around you. Take it all in. From now on, it gets worse. If you have kids, they'll live in smaller homes, drive smaller cars, live smaller lives. If you don't have kids, you better hope your neighbors do, because someone needs to spawn a working population large enough to pay for the unsustainable entitlements the Obama party has suckered you into thinking you're entitled to." Sal D. For Obama's next act, he wants Congress to change the history books to edit Patrick Henry's speech to be "give me tyranny and give me debt," instead of "give me liberty or give me death." Eric's G. Opposing bad ideas is not enough. We must propose the right ideas in ways that people understand. We will win if we remember to talk about good and moral ideas instead of merely getting ratings by screaming against bad ones. Eric G. Oh my God. Pelosi just claimed that this bill preserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Astonishing anti-intellectual perversion of the founders' intent. Richard G. I want the government morons who created the food pyramid to keep their paws off me and my doctor. Diana H. I wish I could say that politics don't matter, but they do. I wish I could say that whatever Washington does doesn't matter, and I should worry about practical things, but I can't. Politics do matter, and the direction that this country is going is making it impossible to live the way I want. No longer can I just work harder to achieve what I want. Soon, the harder I work, the more others get. Greg H. The United States Congress, under the control of the Democratic Party, has today voted to violate the Constitution and destroy freedom in the United States. The Democratic Party must be crushed in November as a consequence. Anyone, whether private citizen or politician, who supports this abomination is an advocate of dictatorship, whether they are intelligent enough to comprehend it or not. Rogan H. I'm so disgusted that I don't know how to express it. American medicine has saved my life. Now I have to stand helpless before an immoral thing like Pelosi. John L. It does not take much to kill liberty, only a majority vote. Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Harry Reid, and all the rest of the Democrats who have voted for this evil health care bill, I will never forgive you for destroying America by defying its Constitution. I will do everything I can to bring you down. Martin L. For those healthcare professionals out there, although the fight is not over, I am sorry our politicians in Washington do not think that your profession is worth paying value for value. If they want cheap health care, see what quality they get when they use force to pay less for it. Paul L. My emotional state after the passing of this health care bill is described perfectly by one of my favorite quotes from M.L. Mencken, quote, every normal man must be tempted at times to spit upon his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin slitting throats. End quote. Luke M. On behalf of my generation, I would like to apologize to my children and grandchildren for Barack Obama, Bart Stupak, Nancy Pelosi, and the culture of entitlement and the surrender of your freedom for some promises of security. Not that it's too late to turn this around, but we inherited the greatest, freest, most industrious, and inventive country in the history of the world, and we leave you just another People's Republic of mediocrity. Mark N. High taxes, low marginal growth rates, cradle-to-grave paternalism, that's not the America I want to live in. Time to recharge the batteries and reread Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged and Ed Klein's Sparrowhawk. Fiat Lux, Nick P. In the novel Atlas Shrugged, Dr. Hendricks observed about the public control of medicine. Their moral code has taught them to believe that it is safe to rely on the virtue of their victims. Well, that is a virtue I have withdrawn. Let them discover the kind of doctors that their system will now produce. Let them discover, in the operating rooms and hospital wards, that it is not safe to place their lives in the hands of a man they have throttled. It is not safe if he is the sort of man who resents it, and still less safe if he is the sort who doesn't. Amoral acts have practical consequences. Amoral acts by government have practical consequences for you. Have you asked your doctor whether he or she will be quitting? If so, would you be able to find a new doctor? Will the U.S. need to import cheap, lower-skilled doctors? Might you need to travel to obtain medical care? And now, Speaker Nancy Pelosi with the Democratic response. Remember, what is done can be undone. Repeal Obamacare.